Good evening and welcome to Resistance Chicks. I'm your host, Michelle, and this is my co-host, Leah, who just so happens to be my sidekick of Resistance Chicks. It is
What
April
is that?
19th.
Am I reduced to
Yes.
Robin Hood? Wait, Robin.
No, that was Robin.
Batman and Robin. Okay.
All right, everybody knows that I am the lead horse in this race here. We want to bring you the fact that they're spying on your kids. And I don't care if your kids aren't doing anything worth, national security and stuff like that, but it should concern you that your children are
data mining you and your kids. It's pretty creepy. And actually, this comes from RT, so they're kind of letting you know your government's spying on you. And I think it's a really kind of a twisted irony.
Yes.
That they're like, you say we hacked your election, but your government is hacking all of your kids, which I think is fantastic that they've come up with this article, which is actually true. So, how many of you have kids? Raise your hands, I can see you all. And how many of you have kids that are issued school devices, laptops and things like that? In our own district, all schoolwork, all homework, everything's done on a laptop. It's pretty crazy.
Or a little iPad.
Exactly.
Digital,
it's crazy. And the school issues these things and they monitor things and they mine data from these things with very little oversight. The school issued computer devices provided to 1/3 of school children across the U.S. collect excessive amounts of highly sensitive personal data on the students without your consent
Or prior notice.
Electronic devices distributed in U.S. schools collect unprecedented amounts of personal data on children as young as 5 years old, according to a new report by Electronic Frontier Foundation, dubbed "Spying on Students." The result of a 2-year study. The surveillance comes under the guise of personalized education. Roughly 1/3 of primary and secondary children, K through 12 students, have received various electronic devices. Many tech companies provide electronic devices for free or a steeply reduced fee as they seek their share in the $8 billion education technology edtech market. So, while essential, closing the digital divide alone will not transform learning. We must also close the digital use divide by ensuring all students understand how to use technology as a tool to engage in creative, productive, lifelong learning rather than simply consuming passive content, which is from the Office of Ed Tech. Are your students using technology actively or passively?
See, here's the problem that I have with this technology.
It's insane, dude.
No, all right. So if your kid is going to be on this thing for its passiveness, regardless, okay? But what they're saying is they need to be on it not only when they're passive, but also during every waking hour of the day, okay? So they're promoting your children being on a digital device even when they're socializing, when they're looking up things for them, shopping online, whatever kids these days do on electronic devices. But in addition to that, you're going to be doing all of your homework and all of your schoolwork and everything else on these devices.
It actively? Are you creating things? We want you to be content creators, all of you.
No, they want you to be content addicted.
Exactly. EdTech, however, can be described as the world's most data mineable industry by far, according to the report, as the devices use apps and software which collect highly sensitive personal information, including names, dates of birth, browsing history, and location data of children. It can track kids, providers of edtech services, and then they're going to use that. That they all leak it to ads. So then they specialize ads. I mean, how you just say the word washing machine, and then like all the ads for washing machines come up, right?
They're gonna link it to your own computer, and so the next time Christmas rolls around, your kid's gonna be asking you for the most expensive toy on the market because it showed up in their feed, and then all of a sudden you're gonna have to spend money.
They investigated the 152 ed tech services reported as in use in classrooms, which is just astronomical, and found troubling trends in their privacy policies regarding lack of encryption, opaque data retention practices, and inadequate data aggregation and de-identification. Only 118 of them have published privacy policies, which some sort of encryption has mentioned, while some sort of encryption was mentioned in only 46 of them, and de-identification or aggregation of user data was mentioned in 51. De-identification, the prevention of linking a person's identity with information, was almost exclusively mentioned in connection with providing information to third parties about their services, according to the report. The potentially dangerous devices are also often distributed without parental consent or notice. Parents sometimes do not receive any information about EdTech until after the technology is implemented, according to this study. So you've got engage, right? This is great. This is from EdTech, right? So we want you to do all your exercising with, you know, and you're hooked up to the television.
Forget getting outside and actually playing basketball or something.
We want you to communicate with it, right? And
So this is grandma and grandpa, and you're talking, you're Skyping with them.
We want you to learn, and we want you to create. Now, I'm all about creating, but this and
so your entire life is
in a box.
Yeah.
See, okay, my hair is wet. You want to know why? Because I had to get in the shower. Because
that's important to tell the viewers.
20 minutes before we came on,
Jasper,
I was outside in a chicken coop covered in chicken stuff because I was cleaning out the coop, and my hands are still like a little bit.
You clean with lime. And so she had lime out there.
Whitewashing is really good. It disinfects your chicken coop. So every spring I take everything out, I wash it down, and then I do a whitewash with lime.
I come in the kitchen and she is scooping dinner out of the pan, and she's got lime dust all over her arm. I thought, oh, that's great. We're going to eat lime.
My point is that you want to make it, you want to get in and you want to get out. And if you have to use technology, you don't want it to be every part of your life.
I tell you guys, when I look at these screens, and we have to do this for you to bring you the videos. We have to do the research, and we have to communicate with you, and we have to edit the videos, and we have to be in front of it when we're filming. It exhausts me more to do all of that than it does to go outside and, you know, bale hay or shovel manure or do some sort of really physically grueling activity.
And why do we do it? We're not saying, we want to point out why we're bringing these stories. Why? Because we live in this technological age, and things are going to change. And I was thinking about this earlier today, and imagine if the people on the Titanic had been given forewarning. All right? They would have had plans set up.
Maybe they would have had the actual amount of lifeboats that was required.
Exactly, okay?
Maybe.
And so our economy and our world is headed for a crash. And I want to make sure that every person that I can reach with information. So why are these stories? They all add up to a greater story, a bigger story. We're talking about immigration. We're talking about Islamic terror. When I talk about education with you guys, and I let you know, these are indoctrination stations. Public schools, right?
Yeah.
When we bring to this Federal Reserve, please watch my Woodrow Wilson video if you don't watch anything else, because that is the most, and I know it was long, and I know it's 45 minutes, but it's the best 45 minutes that you're going to spend while you're making dinner or something. Just play it and listen for a second, because
I know you don't watch 45-minute long videos because you send them to us.
That's funny. Here's the thing, you guys. You guys probably have watched a lot of videos on the Federal Reserve, so most of our viewers are kind of up to speed on G. Edward Griffin and
Jekyll Isle and all that.
Exactly, and the stock market crash of 29. If you're not, we will continue to bring it. But if you do not know who Woodrow Wilson is, then you can't fix it because you don't know the problem. You don't know that Woodrow Wilson was a patsy put into the government by these banking cartels, and he was a sick man. He's had several strokes, and for a year and a half, they literally operated the U.S. presidency, and he was totally and completely disabled. Mentally and physically, he had the attention span of 60 seconds. Okay, so please, this is really important. This is why I'm bringing it to you guys, because Woodrow Wilson enacted the Federal Reserve Act and the income tax, and right around the early 1900s was when Carnegie and Rockefeller began to take over our educational system to turn it into indoctrination stations.
Where they wanted a nation of workers and not thinkers.
Exactly. So now they want a nation of plugged-in people 24/7, so they can tell you exactly what to do always. This parent says, this is disgusting. When it comes to our youngest learners, EdTech is better when used together.
So you're
Kinder chat. Elementary chat. Oh gosh.
It's called get outside and play and get dirty and dig up bugs.
So one parent said, we were given no information about our first grader receiving a device, a tablet this year, and when we asked questions, there's little information given at every level. We have a friend of ours who's a teacher in California, and she teaches kindergarten, and all the kindergartners in her school have devices, and she has said, listen, you test my kids. If they're lower,
she doesn't want to use them.
Lower than the other kids, then fine, I'll start using the devices. But if my kids test out the same, we're not using these things. I love her for that. So anyways, teachers and school officials are also obliged to use the school-issued devices, often without their consent. And here's the thing. Technology alone does not transform learning. Rather, technology helps enable transformative learning. That's from the Office of EdTech. Staff and student details, that is full names and school email addresses, were passed to Google to create individual logins without consent from staff. I'm not sure about the consent from parents. A teacher wrote on social media, parents who expressed privacy concerns were often not able to opt out of the programs, and I think that that's really what's important.
Yeah.
This technology is not, you can't opt out of it. We have a friend of ours who, her son was in the junior high right up the street, and I think we told you this before. There was a young man who doesn't have internet access. He's
didn't have Wi-Fi at home.
Didn't have money for it, and he had to do his schoolwork by hand. It was so embarrassing because everybody else did their homework. They send it straight to their teacher on their laptops. This is school-wide. I mean, it's just crazy. So, for example, when a California teacher allowed a schoolgirl to use her own device instead of a school-issued device after her parents voiced concerns over her privacy, district officials intervened and prohibited such exceptions. While schools are eagerly embracing digital devices and services in the classroom, the ed tech vendors are racing to meet demand. It's all about money, you guys. So was, Common Core was around, Common Core, I mean, it was the school book people. I mean, they were making millions and billions of dollars.
So pretty much the study concludes that the student privacy issue is not being given the attention that it deserves.
But I would take it like 500 steps further. This is absolutely insane. Kids don't need devices to learn. You can you want to do some research, you get a computer at home.
Yeah.
But they don't need to be plugged in all day, every day. I mean, the stimulation. No one should be plugged into a computer all day long.
I had to look stuff up with the daggum card catalog. Okay, yeah, I'm that old. All right, these kids have it so easy, but you know what? It's not
really
easy.
hard.
It's very detrimental to their mental health to be this plugged into devices all day long. Studies have been proven that it does not help you to sleep at night, and even further than that, we could take you, if you haven't seen what's that grounding movie called, the documentary on grounding. Where they show how these electronic devices release positive or negative ions into the air. I can't remember exactly how it works, but actually being out in the earth grounds you and takes all of that those really, I think it's the positive ions, from your body, and it helps you to relax. It's helped people that ground, they wear earthing shoes. You can hook up your bed to the ground, all this. Watch the documentary, it's fantastic. I'll try to put a link to it here. It's free to watch, I think. But they have shown that, like, these issues that they had with arthritis and different things like that just miraculously are healed, because when we're constantly hooked up to, and we've done our own personal studies where Kansas has us grounding outside. He's got an electric cord that goes into the earth, and then it's hooked up to these. It's interesting for.
But the best thing to do is just to go outside barefoot
and sit in the dirt for a while. But we have done tests with the electrometers. And you can literally see, you're next to a computer screen and you put your hand on it and the numbers just spike, okay? And then it's a voltometer. And then you step on the grounding mat and all of a sudden, so you have all these volts, and you actually don't even have to touch the computer. You can just get within feet of it, and all of a sudden your own personal numbers start to rise.
We have a grounding mat right here right now.
We should have a grounding mat that we're standing on.
We're gonna get a grounding mat.
We have different wires. Uncle Jack has one in his room. Our mom has one in her room. Leah and I in Kansas, we all have these. And then I've sewed up these different things that have these silver linings on them.
Yeah, we want a grounding mat when we're doing them.
Because you want to release all these positive ions.
So we do that.
These kids are constantly hooked up to these devices, and it is going to, we're not going to see the effects, I don't think, for probably 20 or 30 years. From it, but it is definitely going to be a bad effect, and I know it, and you know it, and we still do it anyway.
So shoes and socks off.
We should probably round off this episode here, but this is an absolute infringement on parental rights, I think, and for you not to know.
This is freaking me out. Do everything by computer.
And where is the outside? It's green
horrible.
colors.
It's horrible.
So it makes it look like what they're doing is outside, but it's like watching the Brady Bunch where their entire backyard is that like AstroTurf green. What is that stuff called? I don't even know. It's just, it looks like grass and it's not grass. It is. It's not really outside because they were in a studio. That wasn't outside. It wasn't even a sky. And that's what these kids, listen. We've talked about it.
We're done. We're done.
We're going to sign off. I know we could go on for hours and days and weeks and months and years.
Okay,
we're going to sign off here.
Chicks.
Yes, where it's not just a conspiracy theory if it's the truth. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Mass Faith 3 and Resistant Chicks. Ring the bell for notifications if you want to see more videos like this.
Brady,
who was bringing up Faith 3? No, the boys. He was bringing up the girls. That's right.
Taking kids and shoving them in indoctrination studios and shocking them with electromagnetic waves.
All right, we love you guys.
Shut up.
Goodbye.
You just shut that off right now.
I was cold all alone, no place for home every day, so afraid, but you called my